probably heard it run. It wasn't running great, but it was running. Today, we're going to go through the timing procedure, check the mark on the flywheel to make sure that's lining up with top dead center. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. So first we verify that this mark, we'll put it in the middle for starters. Put that right in the middle, we'll tighten her down. Okay. Then there's a tool that you're supposed to use to do this. We're going to use a screwdriver. So what we do, we put the screwdriver in. I'm going to set you over here. Now I can feel, as I turn this clockwise, I can feel when the piston hits that screwdriver. Yeah, it's right there. I start to feel it. So once I get that piston exactly on that screwdriver, I make a mark. So you make a mark with the pointer. Then we go the other direction, counterclockwise. We make another mark. Then what we do, you can either count the teeth in between your marks. I'm going to use a little tape measure here. Curve it nice all the way around. And I get 5 1/4. Okay, 5 1/4 divided by 2 is 2 5/8. So now we'll measure 2 5/8, and we'll make a mark. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. That lines up with this mark. You see that lines up with the mark right next to our T. Now we wheel this over and line it up with the mark that we had. Then I'm going to move my pointer to the T. And that means now my pointer is at top dead center. So when I use my timing light, I'll know that my TDC indicator is indeed lined up where it should be. Okay, next we are going to do the throttle plate synchronization. We're going to loosen the cam follower screw. Okay, so the cam follower screw is this puppy right here. Alright, that's loose. Now, loosen the upper and lower carburetor linkage screws. We do know that my plates are closed. Okay, apply light upward pressure to the tabs of the adjusting links and tighten first the lower, then the upper carbureted linkered screws. Okay, so light pressure. So lower. And then upper. Okay. Cam follower pickup. Snap the throttle link coupler off the cam ball. That's this one right here. And from experience, this thing is a booger to get off. Okay, got it. Now, while holding the cam follower against the throttle cam, move the throttle cam until the embossed mark F, which is right there, aligns with the center of the cam follower. Tighten the cam follower screw. We want it to be in the center. Okay, we are indeed in the center. Now, connect a throttle shaft amplifier to the top of the carburetor plate. You can use anything for this. You can use a zip tie, which is what I'm going to do. All we want to do is it's a little wobbly. Hopefully this is thick enough. Okay. So now what we do, while advancing the throttle cam, the embossed mark on the cam should align with the center of the cam as the tip of the amplifier begins to move. See, I'm a little bit off. Gotta come back a hair. So as the tip, and I can see if I look at the top of that zip tie, bend it forward a little bit, you can see it just start to move. That's in the center. Okay, now we adjust this to match, but in this case I was already there. Verify the throttle arm is against its idle stop. So idle stop. I need a smaller screwdriver. But you can see that's the throttle stop, and that is right up against it. That right there. Okay. Hold the coupler shell on the coupler ball with light pressure. Rotate the cam follower. If the cam follower does not touch the cam and the clearance between the cam and the follower is less than 10 thou, I can see that there's actually space in there, and we look good. So I'm going to leave that. I can see that there's clearance there. Okay. To test this, just leave it a wide open throttle stop. We're not going to mess with that just yet. Idle timing. Now, we're not going to be able to mess with the idle timing just yet, because, or the wide open throttle timing, because we're not on the water. We're going to adjust the carburetors. They should be 2.5 turns out. So we'll bring them in, and then we'll turn them 2.5 turns out. So 1/2, 1, 1/2, 2, 2.5. That's 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. How we doing, guys? Here I am at my boat. Sorry, it's been a while since I posted. Been on vacation for a while, and here we are. Let's go ahead and get her down so we can work on it. Make sure our bulb is pumped up, which it is. So I turned the key and I was getting a beep. Now when you're low on oil in your VRO, it'll beep like every 10 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and put some 2-stroke oil in here. See that? That's beeping. That should stop as soon as I get this in here. We'll put a couple quarts in there. And as you can see, has stopped beeping. It would probably take another quart, but I'd rather have a quart in reserve here. I mean, you can, once it starts beeping, you have a little while. It's not like you're empty, but we'll let her be for a little bit. All right, this is my setup back here. I have my auxiliary battery here. This is just for my front fish finder. That is eventually going to be a lithium ion, and then I have to re-screw that back up there. That's my main shutoff. Then I have my starting battery here, the VRO oil, and then I have 2 lithium ion batteries here for my trolling motor, and then a 2-bank charger for the trolling motor batteries with a plug right here, so I can just plug them in. There it goes. It'll run at high idle until the engine temp gets, I believe, to 120 degrees. Take a look. I did install a temp gauge here. So I have the speedo, temp, trim, and then my RPM gauge. I have a oil level gauge that's going to go right here. I found one that matches the same style. I have a water pressure gauge, which I still need to find a spot for, but you can see at idle our water pressure is about, well, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, something like that. I just keep an eye on that every once in a while, but you can see we have a good stream of water coming out. So we'll wait until she gets up to temp. If you can take off before it gets to temp. As soon as you put it in gear and give it some throttle, your It's called the Smart system, I think. The high idle. There she goes. See how she just jumped down? Now I'm at temperature. It's just coming up on 120. So let's go ahead and lower this puppy down into the water. Okay, the lake that I'm at, you need to have a boat lift because it gets so rough. There's really not a good spot to just put it into the dock. So, all right, let's see if we can back out of here. And we're free. Got people right next door, so we're gonna go ahead and get well out of their way. Now you'll be able to tell it still runs a little bit rough. I got to redo my link and sync. As you can hear, a little rough until she gets to about here, and then she pops right up on plane, no problem. Here, my trim, I'll put the trim up a little bit, and I mean she'll go 34, 35. Let's see how fast we can get her. Go ahead and trim it up. There we go. That's 34. That's just about 35. I don't like to run it that fast. I'll bring it back down. I like to cruise right around 30. We'll go ahead and get our fish finder on here. I have this hooked up to the accessory. Go ahead and turn it on. It doesn't work at full speed. I can get it to work maybe if I'm cruising about 20. It'll read on the go, but after I get any faster than that, I've never had good luck getting fish finders to read on aluminum boats. I don't know if it's the turbulence created by the rivets or what, but it seems like whenever I get up to speed, they always lose. I know some people are able to get them to read on the go, but maybe if anybody's got any tips on that, they can let me know. So we'll go ahead and take a little cruise here and enjoy the view. Our water pressure right around 20, 24. Temperature gauge stays between 140 and 170. Even when it was really hot on a like 95-degree day, the hottest it got was I think up to 170, and then when you get going, it cools right down again. So far, I'm pretty happy with the way it's running. I think I can fiddle with it and get it a little better. But really, I've just been trying to catch